Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Today is Wednesday, October 16, and Bitcoin is at 68,000, just hit 68,000. So I hope you are doing well. We're going to go over a number of bullish news for a lot of the positions that we hold and positions that we talk about. The indexes today, for the second day in a row, Russell 2000 is beating all the indexes. It's up 1.6%. The S&P is up 0.28%. Dow Jones is up 0.53%, and Nasdaq is basically flat. Tesla is up today as well, less than 1 percentage point, but it's up. It's in the green. It's recovering from the post Robotaxi event dip. Nvidia is recovering from the ASML driven dip, and we'll take a closer look into ASML. You'll want to stick around for that. By the way, leave a like if you enjoy these lives. If you're happy to see me, leave a like. I'm definitely happy to be here, and thanks for coming. Iris Energy is up 4.4%. Bitdeer is up 3.73%. Bitcoin miners are on a tear as of late, and it's no wonder considering Bitcoin is on a tear itself, now approaching the all-time high that it achieved earlier this year. Bassam, always nice to see you. Thank you. Aklo, the the Microreactor uh, nuclear power company, is up another 37%. Ouch. You look at that and you're like, oh man, I wish I bought that. But an SMR, the another microreactor company that we looked at yesterday, is up 32%. Why is it up? And why you should not feel any regret. I always remind everyone who listens. The future is really unpredictable. It's tough to know what tomorrow's headlines are going to hold. The reason why those two stocks are up today is Amazon is going nuclear. So we were going nuclear on PIF yesterday. Amazon is going nuclear today. They're investing more than 500 million to develop small modular reactors. So in sympathy, everyone that's in the space got a boost as well. It does seem like the tech giants are looking at small modular nuclear reactors as the solution to power their plans for data centers. So I've spoken many times about data centers on this channel and how investing in the supply chain for those data centers is probably a good idea. Will pan out well because it's going to be the focus of a lot of capex for the next few years in order to build out the infrastructure for artificial intelligence to what it needs to be. And part of that supply chain is providing the energy needed for those data centers. These microreactors are part of that. And so you're seeing how they're performing today. Not too shabby. As I said, Oklo up close to 37% as I speak. SMR up 33%. If you weren't attending yesterday's live, I did conclude that both, I think, and I still think this is the case. I mean, news headlines be what they may. For Oklo, we're talking about the first reactor being online 2027. So that's when their first revenue is going to be generated. For SMR, maybe 2030. So yes, it's a good space to be in, but make sure if you do get in this space to have a longer time horizon. There's going to be a lot of volatility along the way. And who knows if and by the way, both of these stocks are pretty heavily shorted. And so a news headline will take it up a lot more than perhaps the headline itself justifies. And a adverse headline will take it down perhaps a lot more than the news headline justifies. And I would think about entering a position like this on the latter case. So if a news headline comes out and let's say it's down 40%, well, in that case, that's when I may think about picking up some shares. Now, speaking of situations like this, we have ASML, and this is a really interesting company. Earlier, let's see, July 10th, it reached close to a thousand. Let's 1,100 here uh, for its share price. It's now half of that. So let's take a look at that and see. Hey, maybe it's a good opportunity to pick up some shares on the cheap. You want to buy things are when people are pessimistic about the asset, not when they are optimistic. Now, if I look at ASML, which reported earnings today, actually they mistakenly leaked their earnings yesterday, which didn't help their stock price. Having that mistake occur, it is currently trading at a market cap of 270 billion after the rout that it has experienced in the last couple of days, now down close to, well, 17% now. If we look at what they reported, actually the report was not that bad. They reported 7.5 billion euros total net sales and 2 point, so give or take 8 billion US dollars and 2.1 billion net income. So you can see right off the bat, their profit margins are pretty healthy. 2.1 billion net income on 7.5. I mean, you're talking close to 25% of, I mean, more than 25% in terms of a profit margin. That's not bad. Q3 total, so that's bottom line here. I'm talking. Their gross margins are actually 50%, which is fantastic. Q3 total sales 7.5 billion, gross margin of 50.8%, net income of 2.1 billion. That's what they reported for Q3. Quarterly net bookings was below what they guided for, 2.6 billion, of which 1.4 billion is EUV. ASML expects Q4 2024 total net sales between 8.8 billion and 9.2 billion, and gross margin between 49% and 50%. Again, this seems like it falls in the category of easy businesses to make money in terms of profit margins. I love that. ASML expects 2024 total net sales to be around 28 billion. So if we're looking at a multiple of revenue for this year, it's trading at less than 10x revenue, which is not unreasonable for a company that has 50% gross margins. That's not unreasonable. And a healthy growth rate. Now let's look at that. ASML expects 2025 total net sales to be between 30 billion and 35 billion. Now, if it were to achieve 35 billion, that's a 25% growth rate. So you got a healthy growth rate, healthy margins, healthy net profit. It's in the right business with providing the infrastructure for semiconductor manufacturing. I saw a report that said ASML was ahead of competitors by at least 5 years. So if a competitor wanted to, so they have a monopoly in their space. If a competitor wanted to come out with an alternative, they'd need at least 5 years, at least according to that report. They are investing heavily in research and development. I believe their R&D expenses for Q3 was $1 billion. So yeah, so ASML expects R&D costs of around 1.1 billion, and I believe this is for Q4. Yeah, for the fourth quarter, ASML expects R&D costs of around 1.1 billion, SG&A of 300 million. It's a well-run company, and they're investing in the right things. If you look at their cash, so cash from operations close to $1 billion, so they're positive on their cash generation. cash from investing. So they're investing in capex, cash from financing. They paid down some of their debt. Net change in cash was negative, but they have free cash flow that is positive, plus 258 million. Again, they did pay off some financing, so that's why the net change in cash is negative. But overall, this is a good company, guys. And so, because it pays a dividend, I may consider it for a dividend portfolio. I This is just a a preliminary take on the company, but so from what I've seen, this seems like a good company. Maybe a good time to pick up some shares, considering how much it is down in the last 5 days. Obviously, you don't want to catch a falling knife, but it's getting to attractive territory here. Also, in terms of catalysts, if we get earnings, let's say Nvidia comes out with really strong earnings, it's very possible that something like ASML will rally in sort of sympathy with that. All right, let's look at some other things in the market today. So, what is really interesting here is, hey, Chocolate, nice to see you. Wa alaikum salam. Rashad, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming all the time. It's amazing to see you, Rashad, as always. Presidential election probabilities are now solidly in Donald Trump's favor, 60 to 40. I've never seen something like this. I can't attest to, how accurate this forecast is. It's not over until it's over. So, keep that in mind. Don't think that this is a done deal, but the percentages are definitely in Donald Trump's favor. And that's probably one of the reasons why crypto is rallying as hard as it is. If you look at the crypto bubbles here, it looks like Doge is on the move, 10%, plus 10%. You have Bonk is plus 5.5%. This is on the day, by the way. If we look at the last week, there's a lot of green. Now, told you guys about helium and how I was suspicious of it. Everything is in the green except for helium, down 10%. Bonk is up 17.4%. Doge is up 16%. So the fundamentally sound tokens, the one is where I'm being sarcastic here. Uh, Crypto is la la land. There's no rhyme or reason for anything, it seems, in many cases. All right, so another piece of good news for us: solid state batteries. And gotten a lot of questions about solid state batteries. Oh, hey, is the demand for lithium going to go away? Solid state batteries, they're going to use, sodium instead of lithium. What's going to happen to the demand for lithium? Well, it appears that solid state batteries hype is fading. Now, there are some lithium solid state batteries, but there are other materials. And there was some concern about, demand for lithium perhaps not meeting projections. Now, it does appear, at least as per this article, does appear that the advancements in lithium ion batteries, what's currently used, are good enough basically for people not to really be too eager to invest heavily in research and development for solid state batteries. So, when you look at current technology, the lithium ion batteries, they have just been improving so much. The incremental improvement of a cheaper technology has been so good that maybe it's not so attractive anymore to pull all that attention on solid state. And this is according to Senior Director for Vehicles and E-Mobility Supply Chains at the campaign group Transport and Environment. According to him, 5 years ago, that's pretty attractive LinkedIn profile. 5 years ago, if we talked about this, I would have been so excited about solid state batteries. But somehow, within this space between pilots and commercialization, there's some kind of barrier today, some kind of blockage, because every time I speak with automotive executives at battery conferences, I keep hearing the same answer: we are 5 to 7 years away. So I don't think it's necessarily something to be worried about as it relates to structural demand for lithium. Now let's look at another winner for us, Iris Energy. It's up 4.54%. So the 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 litigation, the short reports, all of that FUD is having a tough time today. Iron released its business update, and it was very positive. AI cloud services continue to scale. 1.4 gigawatt data center project energization now April 2026. So whereas they were projecting later than that, now they pulled it ahead. So let's look at some of the details here. AI operations scaling with strong profit contribution. Iron's AI cloud services division is expected to be generating approximately 32 million in annualized hardware profit by the end of December. And hardware profit, we're just taking depreciation and we're using as a cost the electricity cost, contributing approximately 10% to the company's overall earnings. Now, it's contributing 10% to the company's overall earnings, but later they mention AI cloud services currently utilize less than 0.5% of Iron's total data center capacity. So imagine how much they can get to. So there's at least a 200x potential here in terms of using their current resources if it were to be utilized in AI cloud services entirely. So 200, so we're talking 600 million in annualized hardware profit. Keep in mind, this is a company with a market cap close to 1.73 billion. So you can see the opportunity for appreciation here is pretty large if they make the right moves, and it does appear that they are. GPU utilization: the company's current fleet of 816 Nvidia H100 GPUs is nearing full utilization, and they plan on more than doubling this in Q4 2024 by adding 1,080 Nvidia H200 GPUs, more than doubling its existing AI capacity. So they're going in the right direction. I really think the AI is and high performance computing is a lot better business than Bitcoin mining. Next generation, I mean, there's just a very narrow window where Bitcoin mining makes sense, and that's when we're at the strong parts of the Bitcoin bull cycle. But aside from that, it's just recovery and trying to make ends meet. Next generation GPUs design and procurement underway to accommodate liquid cooled hardware, including NVIDIA Blackwell GB200 GPUs in existing Prince George and Childress data centers. Accelerated timeline: this is what we referred to briefly. The target energization date for Iron's 1.4 gigawatt substation at its West Texas data center project has been brought forward to April 2026, earlier than the originally contracted October 2026. So good execution there, where timelines are being pulled forward as opposed to delayed. And this was really cool. Land expansion. Iron has secured 800 additional acres of land, so more data data center potential, adding to its existing 500 acres of freehold land, bringing the total land holding to over 1,300 acres. So for data centers, you need access to power and you need land. And it does appear that Iris Energy is securing both. Monetization planning is underway for both Bitcoin mining and HPC AI pathways, with indicative interest from hyperscalers. So that's perhaps a a sign that we may get a catalyst in the form of an announcement with contracting with a hyperscaler or some other interesting party. So all is looking good in the Iris Energy update. As I mentioned, no, I don't think that inshallah, the litigation against the company will will go anywhere really. I don't think that there is merit to the claims that were made, and certainly the updates seem to suggest that that is the case. So for those who were worried about it, inshallah, nothing to be worried about. Uh, Chocolate Wallah says election was expected. Harris was going to get an initial boost due to Biden dropping out. This is why there was and still is such huge push to take Trump down legally or deep state actions. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, even the 40% that is supportive of Harris is kind of surprising. I just don't think she is qualified. That being said, with all this good news, I should mention that we still have the Israel Iran strike. So that may cause some volatility in the near term. The election, it does seem like the market is saying, okay, there's a lot more visibility here, a lot less uncertainty. So this is less of an issue. I think that if we get through this Israel Iran strike and it doesn't escalate and things seem to go towards de escalation in that particular conflict, then I think markets could really take off, especially if the election results seem as one sided and continue to seem as one sided as they seem to right now. Chocolate says, I read a report yesterday on BRICS attempting to buy as much gold as possible while Western banks are struggling to catch up with gold ETFs. In your opinion, is the dollar truly in trouble? Yeah, absolutely. The dollar is in trouble. All fiat currencies are in trouble. We are borrowing out of our minds in the United States, which means that we have to print and dilute current holders of the US dollar token, if you will. And yeah, the dollar is in trouble, and therefore things that have prospects to preserve your purchasing power will continue to go up when denominated in dollar terms, like gold, like real estate, like, may I add, a little something called Bitcoin. You may have heard of it. All right, guys, if you are not a PIF member, do become a PIF member. Like if you enjoyed this live. And until next time, make sure to take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum and peace be upon you all.